Hey there, and thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West on this Thursday, January 8th. If you haven't joined us before, this is an hour-long show where we tell you what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and once again, we want to thank you for joining us. It is a weather impact alert day today and Friday in Denver, as snow and colder temperatures are going to impact the region. Let's get straight to Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle with all of the details.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. We've issued a 9 News weather impact alert for today and Friday for some much needed snow. Moisture coming to Colorado with 2 storm systems heading our way, one in the Pacific Northwest and one coming in from Cabo San Lucas. About 1 to 4 inches of snow expected here in Denver, but the timing could be everything and the greatest impact. We moved up the snow start time, and so we could have snow falling this morning, a second round this afternoon, and then lighter amounts tonight, followed by another overnight round of snow into the Friday morning drive. Heavy mountain snow, also something that we're talking about, with winter weather and travel advisories out for well over a foot of snow. So finally some big changes after talking about critical fire weather for weeks and weeks. First wave comes in from the southwest, second storm in the northwest. There's some signs that the models have these storms merging, but regardless, as long as they can tap into some of this cold air, it's a pool of fast-moving cold air. We don't get a lot of it, but enough that we should have deep enough upslope to get that snow machine on in the mountains. Snow off and on in Denver and across the Front Range. And while not a major storm, as I mentioned, for Denver, we still will have accumulating snow and travel impacts on the I-25 corridor. The mountains could see upwards of a foot of snow. And in Denver, again, we've got 1 to 4 inches expected here, with some heavier amounts to the west and to the south over the Palmer Divide and Monument Hill areas, where we do have a winter storm watch in effect today. Winter weather advisories cover the mountains, and no advisories for snow for Denver yet, but due to the timing and the temperature trend, we think this storm will be impactful. So temperatures stay in the 30s today with snow off and on all day. We break out of it Friday after probably a slow morning drive, a cold high in the mid 30s Friday, but our weekend looks good. Saturday, sunshine and 42, and then back to the 50s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Thursday, January 8th, and this is what we like to see here in Colorado, especially for our ski areas. Snow coming down in waves over Colorado's high country. Winter weather advisories have been posted. A winter storm making its way into our state for today, and really seeing that snow accumulate over portions of western and southern Colorado through early Friday. Great. Skiers and boarders very happy and enjoying a powder day out near Winter Park, Copper Mountain, Aspen Snowmass. We unfortunately still, our Colorado snowpack sitting at 63 or 62%, that is, of median as of this morning. So we are expecting to pick up several inches of snow, especially spots like Aspen Snowmass, upwards of around 11 inches possible over the next 3 days, around 4 to 6 for many of our Front Range ski areas. But drought monitor is still sitting at severe to extreme drought for portions of our central mountains. It is unfortunately been a really brutal start to our ski season. A lot of terrain just not able to open because we haven't seen enough snow. So this system, Colorado is rejoicing. It's great to see. Of course, we want to talk about the potential for slick roadways and difficult driving conditions, especially over those higher mountain passes. But Denver only at 6.8 inches of snow that we have seen this season. Typically by the end of the month, we are tracking at least 27 inches on average. But we could be seeing upwards of 6 inches, not necessarily for Denver, but to the west and south of town. Winter weather advisories have been posted, and our snowfall forecast around 1 to 4 inches. Great to see, regardless, even though it's not a major storm system, some much needed precipitation rolling into Colorado.
And you heard Katie there talking about the snow in Colorado, and the mountains are still at very low levels despite recent storms. And as a result, ski areas are struggling to get terrain open for the season, but one ski area says it is using what it calls an aggressive snow farming technique to get runs open. Denver's meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen went to Monarch Mountain to check on the harvest.
That's right, snow farming is essentially getting more yield on the slopes, taking a little bit more snow out of what Mother Nature provides, and it works. Monarch Mountain has more than 70% of their terrain open, and they don't even have a single snowmaking machine. They're all natural.
And it's part of our culture. It's part of our product up here. You can tell how nice our snow conditions are.
Malcolm Wilbur says Monarch is being extra aggressive with their snow farming this season. It started in the fall by plowing early season snow off the parking lots and using it to pack down the heavily treaded base area.
To be able to put snow exactly where you want it.
The key to Monarch Snow Farm is these snow fences along the western edge of the ski area. Their job is to literally pull snow out of the wind.
Even those smaller storms, we could have 5 or 6 foot piles behind these fences.
Those snow piles are the crops. The combines come in at night to harvest the storm's bounty.
As we're prepping to get this terrain open, each night the crews are coming in and dozing these piles off, setting up the tops of the runs so that we can keep stepping further and further into the terrain.
That's how this small ski area in the Saguache Range, about 3 hours southwest of Denver, is leading the way through this slow snow season so far.
We're making great strides. Each little storm is getting us closer and closer. We have to take advantage of every storm that we can, especially on a year like this.
In Colorado ski country, I'm meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for the 9 News Weather Impact Team.
And ski resorts aren't the only winter attraction affected by the weather. When your business model revolves around ice, cold weather is non-negotiable. Denver's Shelly Ma tells us how our ice park, or Ouray Ice Park rather, is managing this warm winter.
I've been climbing since college.
That's when Peter O'Neill says he became hooked on the mountains.
Someone said to me the other day, it sounds like the climate chickens are come home to roost.
The main attraction at Ouray Ice Park is in its name.
There just isn't the same level of stoke and excitement that comes along with, having an ice park that's open.
It's not open because of the weather.
One of my rangers, she's working as a bartender at the Western Hotel. So I tell people in town, go to the Western, have some drinks, and tip my ranger well, so that she can pay her rent.
Every winter, thousands of climbers make their way to Ouray.
It's difficult. It is definitely a challenging start to the season.
Ouray Ice Fest is the park's biggest draw.
About 60% of our operating budget comes from the surplus that we get from the ice festival.
The event, which takes place from January 22nd to January 25th, will go on, but it won't be the same.
We will not get the normal revenue that we get from Ice Festival because we won't have as many clinics. The hand we've been dealt, unexpected.
But they can plan, and that includes making ice when it gets cold enough overnight. How much they'll be able to make and how long it will last.
When the going gets tough, you got to figure it out and make the best of a tough situation. That's what we're all doing.
And that was Shalima Maharaj reporting. Talking all about winter, this shift from a warm to cold winter is also confusing plants, as you can imagine. Denver's photojournalist Alex Castillo talked to an expert about the unusual weather's impact on plants.
Right now, plants are completely confused. They're being faked out by this weather. So this is a plant in summer home that is blooming right at the moment. This is called a globe mallow. It's very confused. So we've been sitting in this warm weather, and all these spring early bloomers are going, oh, here we come. Here we come. It's time to bloom. It's time to come out of the ground. The plant should have hit a sustained freeze cycle by now and gone completely dormant. A good analogy would be that you sleep through the night, but all of a sudden your alarm gets set for 2 a.m. and you wake up suddenly. You don't have any idea where you're at. You're so confused. You're stumbling around thinking, what is going on? You just go back to bed, don't you, at some point? And that's what these plants will do. The plants that may not make it are plants that don't belong here. And they can't tolerate these extremes in temperature that we have. You may get a funky bloom pattern out of it because it's confused, but that's about it. They'll be fine. I don't think there's anything to worry about unless this continues and this heat stays high. Then a lot of things will start to turning themselves on. Then you could see more damage. Let's just tamp down the drama and let Mother Nature do what it's going to do.
Let Mother Nature do what it's going to do. That's good advice there. Now, let's take you to Phoenix, where it's also a weather impact alert day like our friends in Denver. Thunderstorms in the valley and snow in the high elevations. Ginger Jeffries is going to break it all down for us in today's forecast.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west, where, yeah, we've been a little bit on the soggy side as we had the first storm roll through yesterday. But today, round 2, and this guy is still going to be a snowmaker. But I think the biggest difference from yesterday to today is the potential is a little heightened for stronger rainfall totals, meaning we've got thunderstorm potential outside. So even though, I mean, yesterday the sky just was begging to rain all day long. It was dark. It was gloomy. Today, we've got a line of storms coming through in the afternoon hours, which, wow, I mean, we're going to be on the national stage today with a Fiesta Bowl in town, and that's really the prime time for this line to be moving on through. As you can see, we still have our winter weather advisory in place for higher elevations as we are preparing for snow. We also have a freeze watch for tonight and tomorrow because temperatures are low, and then you can't miss it. We've got snow, we've got rain. Showers so far have been light, but again, more is to come. So across Arizona, we are looking for numbers once again to be below the normal range. I've got low 60s today in Phoenix, 67 in Tucson, right at the point of freezing in Flagstaff. Snow is expected for you. Havasu to Yuma. Okay, yesterday you were completely off the docket for any kind of saturation, but today again, because of this line of thunderstorms coming in from the Pacific Northwest, well, it could be impacting the western side of the state. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Being on the national stage, we've got the big game, Miami versus Ole Miss. Now, Fan Fest, which is kicking off after 11 o'clock this morning. We've got that thunderstorm potential from about noon to 2 o'clock. And then, you know, game time, well, it's at 5:30. Obviously, the stadium's going to be closed, but conditions are going to start to improve this evening with the help of some strong winds. But boy, oh boy, maybe seeing some active weather in the 2 o'clock hour. Meantime, here's our winter weather advisory. It started yesterday, continues for today. All the areas you see here in purple as snow is pushing on through. Our Futurecast data shows you the timing of it, though. At 1:30, here we go. This is that line that I'm talking about. Even though it's not a blanket of green, there's certainly some potential for thunderstorms, even possibly some thunder snow in the higher elevations. And these storm cells, wow, they can be powerful. They're fast and furious, and they could bring in a nice amount of rainfall before they, exit stage right rather rapidly. The winds are going to pick up tonight, and that's going to start clearing things out, but also really cooling things down. So the potential really doesn't start until after 10 o'clock. I think it gets interesting by the noon hour, and the highest opportunity will be right about the 2 o'clock hour, and then we're going to start clearing out and stay on the dry but cool side. Now, as far as the snowfall expected, up to 3, possibly 7 to 8 inches of snow at Snow Bowl, Flagstaff, about 2 to 4 inches. But remember, that cold air element really going to start settling in tonight and tomorrow, especially with those overnights. So take a look. Weather impact alert today for Flagstaff because of widespread snow, and then it's going to be cool and clear for the weekend. Overnights dropping down into the single digits tonight for Flag. Now, here in the Valley of the Sun, we have been on the cloudy side. We're going to start clearing out, but along with Flagstaff, our overnights are on the chilly side by our standards. We're dropping into the upper 30s by Friday night.
And coming up next, we're headed to Washington with forecasts from Seattle to Spokane. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Thursday, January 8th. Now it's time to start with Seattle, Washington, where Rich Marriott is tracking more mountain snow, but a pattern flip is headed their way.
Well, good Thursday morning. I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and the snow continues to fall up in the Cascades. Not quite as heavily as it did Tuesday into Wednesday, but still pretty good totals in the last 24 hours. In fact, checking in, Mount Baker's seen 13 inches in the last 24 hours, half foot for Stevens, Snoqualmie, and Crystal Mountains, and 9 inches for White Pass. If you combine that with what they got the day before, with 33 inches in 2 days at Baker, 27 there at Stevens Pass. Snoqualmie Pass had 16 inches. 19 inches at Crystal Mountain, and White Pass another 22 inches overall. So that's definitely helped the snowpack in those areas. And still seeing showers around today, which could pick up another 4 to maybe 8 inches between now and when the showers end tomorrow morning. But still see some cool showery air moving on shore, and that's going to lift over the Cascades during the day, give us some snow up there. It all really quieted down earlier this morning. In fact, there was a dry commute pretty much up and down I-5. We've seen some clearing, which is both a plus and a minus because we've seen some patches of ice out there from that clearing. But in the Cascade foothills, we've been seeing occasional mixed rain and snow out there, and because of that, we've been tracking that as it contracted towards the Cascades earlier. Now it's beginning to expand a little bit as that convergence starts to pick up just a little bit. So we're in first alert weather mode until noontime today. We're going to be looking for that snow level around 1,000 feet this morning, so heavier showers primarily in the convergence zone could bring that down closer to sea level. Some of the foothill communities might see at least briefly some wet slushy snow on the roads before it melts right back out again. And then places that see a little bit of clearing this morning might see some spotty ice, and the concerns about those low snow levels and the slushy snow primarily east of I-5 and King County northward. Outside of that area, you might see some spotty areas of ice, but no problems with anything coming out of the sky. Checking the Port Angeles tower cam, see a hint of some clearing. There was some sun out there a little bit earlier, and some of our sites are seeing some sunshine already. And one of those is not Granite Falls, tucked in near the Cascades, and that's one of the places that might be seeing some of that rain-snow mix during the morning hours. Checking out Everett tower cam, we had quite a bit of blue sky a little while ago, but starting to see the clouds reform as that convergence zone starts to pick up a little bit, and some sunshine hitting Tacoma starting off the day. Headed out towards the coastal beaches, they're seeing a mixture of showers and sun breaks out there, and not a bad day, and they should see those showers start to diminish later on today. As we get into the afternoon hours, the snow level is going to be around 2,000 feet, so it won't be a problem in the lowlands in terms of that mixture of rain and snow. Tomorrow the showers end early, then we clear out. Dry Saturday, but then look for rain to move in later Saturday, and then rainy and mild Sunday and Monday with those snow levels going up to anywhere around 7,000 to 9,000 feet. Looking at the satellite image, you can see this big ridge of high pressure. That's going to push in as we head towards the end of the week, and that's going to dry us out for a couple days, but as it moves in over us, it's also going to be raising those snow levels up. You can see by the time we get to the rainfall, which will be fairly substantial for Sunday and Monday, those snow levels up to 6,000 to 8,000 feet. So we're going to be looking at some rain in the ski area. So if you can choose between Saturday or Sunday to go skiing over the weekend, definitely Saturday is going to be the better day. Between now and tomorrow morning, as I said, it looks like we're going to pick up another 4 to maybe 8 inches. So looks like we have some pretty good totals in that range of about 1 to 3 feet that we were talking about earlier in the week for the entire storm series. So for today, that early morning chance of mixed rain and snow, then showers this afternoon. Clearing out on Friday. We'll see a dry day until the afternoon or evening on Saturday when the rain moves in. Very rainy and mild Sunday and Monday, low to mid 50s. Decreasing showers Tuesday. Morning fog and then sunshine Wednesday, and that dry weather will probably last all the way into the following weekend.
Now let's head to east of the Cascades to eastern Washington, where you'll find more snow. In fact, we'll find Spokane's Nicole Hernandez from the snow. Check it out.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington, and whoa, we had quite a bit of weather last night, and it was a bit of a surprise. It being a surprise is kind of integral to what we ended up seeing, but first let's talk about our conditions right now. Take a look at this pile of snow, right? About an inch or so of snow. I can smack it. I shouldn't be able to do that, right? So our snow that fell last night was very wet and very heavy, and that meant overnight with our freezing temperatures, it froze. This here, this very slick, wet, heavy snow is what we're contending with on our roads right behind us here. A lot covering our roads this morning. So now let's talk about what actually caused this. Like I mentioned, the fact that it was a surprise was a big deal, right? So this was a snow squall. By definition, a snow squall is a little bit of a surprise. It's a quick onset without much warning. It causes very heavy snow and potential wind as well. With that, that means the potential for whiteout conditions. I was actually driving in the beginning of the snow squall yesterday evening, and it was intense. There was a lot of snow coming down, very big, fluffy, heavy, wet flakes. The other thing with a snow squall is that it very quickly deteriorates our road conditions. So we very quickly went from basically no snow on our roads to a ton of snow covering them in slick conditions. And then last, definitively, a snow squall has to be under 2 hours in length. So all of that, of course, happened, and that's what caused all of our conditions here. Because of our bad road conditions this morning, we are under a weather impact alert. Now, this is only for the people who are in this snow squall area. This didn't actually hit all of our region. At the Spokane International Airport, we saw 7 inches of snow. That set a record for January 7th, specifically that day historically. The most snow we've ever seen on a January 7th. We set that record yesterday. But other spots in town literally saw basically nothing. Some places just got a dusting. So if you are waking up in one of those areas that saw the snow squall, that's where that weather impact alert is a really big deal for those dangerous road conditions. Looking forward to the rest of the day, things aren't all that bad. We have some cloud cover that's moving its way through, of course, and we stay mostly dry for most of us. The difference is we do have a chance for some lingering snow showers to move their way through the region. So a couple of different showers will move in and then move out pretty quickly. They'll be light. The biggest impact we see is up in the mountains. Lookout Pass could get another couple inches of snow. Other than that, though, this is the last of the moisture that's moving its way through from the giant storm that we saw move in yesterday. For our 7-day forecast, our weather impact alert actually expires by around noon. The hope is with our temperatures in the mid-30s, we get a little bit of relief and things melt off on our roads. Once the last of that moisture moves out today, again with those scattered potential snow showers, we stay clear. A ridge of high pressure is going to build out over our region, and for Friday and Saturday and into Sunday, things look totally normal without any more of that crazy winter weather we've been having this week.
And yesterday, January 7th, marked 1 year since wildfires ravaged Southern California. After the break, a look back with one of the survivors and how the community is recovering. Yesterday marked 1 year since the start of the deadly wildfires that ravaged Southern California. Very fast-moving twin fires erupted at opposite ends of LA County, destroying more than 16,000 structures, and many of them were homes. Combined, the Eaton and Palisades fire killed at least 31 people. Jasmine Veal checked in on the community and spoke with one of the survivors.
This is still my home. This is still my address. This is what I worked so hard.
With tears streaming down her face, Jill Jensen clutches a small tile plaque, numbers that once marked her address on Las Flores Drive in Altadena.
So many people suffer. We do not have a house. We do not have our neighborhood. We do not have our community anymore.
It's all that remains of her house that burned to the ground in the Eaton fire.
And my husband said, Jill, get up. We have to go. The house in the back is engulfed in flames.
A home that was full of music and love, but Jill was ultimately forced to sell the lot in order to afford starting over. 1 year later, the trauma hasn't faded.
The nightmares persistent.
Jill joined other fire survivors and elected leaders in Altadena Wednesday as they talked about the recovery efforts and the need for more accountability.
Whether a family is able to get back home or is displaced permanently comes down to one thing: money.
Joy Chen with the Eaton Fire Survivors Network says with 7 in 10 Eaton and Palisades families still displaced 1 year later, they are working hard to move the money to the survivors who deserve it.
Just the first year since the fire, our community unlocked over $100 million in delayed insurance payments, and more is coming. There are 3 sources that each owe survivors tens of billions of dollars: Edison, insurance companies, and the federal government.
If they can spend money on bombs and all of this horrible stuff that they are doing to other countries, other peoples that are suffering, worse than this. Why can't they help these people here?
LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger says this survivor-led coalition has helped to shed light on what went wrong before, during, and after the Eaton fire.
I welcome investigations across the board. I have promised these survivors that we're going to get answers, and we will get answers.
As the attention remains on Southern California Edison, the utility said since opening a compensation program tied to the Eaton fire, more than 1,800 customers have applied. The company has made 82 settlement offers totaling more than $34 million, and 31 claims have been paid so far.
Let's be clear. Edison must pay everything that they are liable for.
Jill knows she's among the fortunate ones to have a roof over her head, while for so many the rebuilding hasn't even begun.
What about the people that don't have any insurance or underinsured? I am a lucky one, but I still hurt.
Coming up after a quick break, we'll have forecasts from Boise and Portland. New data from the nonprofit group Climate Central revealed disasters across the U.S. caused about $115 billion in damage last year. A record 21 thunderstorms hit the U.S. in 2025, each causing at least $1 billion in damage. Wildfires in Southern California accounted for more than half of the year's total damage. Damages cost not included hurricanes, since not a single hurricane hit the U.S. last year. That being said, the report said 2025 was the least costly year for disasters since 2019. And while more snow continues to fall in the Cascades and Oregon, showers will continue to taper for the Portland Metro. Let's get to Rod Hill with the details. Plus, he's going to tell us when to expect more rain.
Bringing you a little bit of a snow celebration from Mount Hood specifically, but really much of the Cascade Range on this Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. We still have our winter storm warning up for the Oregon Cascades today, and also a storm warning out for the Blues. Snow rates will be tapering off as the flow pattern that brought the storm in the first place is basically gone. Now we're just looking at some snow shower activity up there. But as of mid-morning, this is what we have. These are storm totals of fresh snow going back to Tuesday afternoon when it all started. Timberline 34, and they'll probably pick up at least 2 more today, which means their storm total will reach 3 feet. Remember, that was the high end of what we had hoped for, so we did really well. Meadows over 2 feet, 28 inches. Skibo well over a foot, 18. And then at 5,000 feet on Mount Hood, if you're up there, walking around in the snow, everywhere there's pretty much 40 inches or more now on the ground total, including what was on the ground before the storm hit. Snow level today, 1,200 feet, but will start to go up as the storm is pulling out to 3,000 feet. Still very wintry looking, and 18 degrees early this morning. That's our Timberline Lodge camera. And a reminder, yes, the winter storm warning still in effect for one final day. Weather Service has it posted until 4 p.m. this afternoon. Breezy west winds, another 3 to 6 inches of snow total, but we've already picked up a couple of that this morning. Just a quick look to show you what I'm sure you've already surmised. The Cascade passes are absolutely buried under snow, but ODOT crews have been out constantly plowing. That's 26 degrees early this morning at Government Camp. Santiam the same, and cold 22, and cold 22 Willamette Pass. Yesterday, for the first time this season, we saw snow on our highest Coast Range pass. This is Highway 26 coming out of Portland and driving up toward the summit at 1,400 feet. I've seen reports of at least 3 to 4 inches of snow on the ground, and you can see it's kind of slushy, 33 degrees, but those temperatures will rise and that will become in absolutely good shape during the day today as snow levels again go up to about 3,000 feet. Changing weather flow pattern, as I mentioned, everything's starting to rotate up to the north around us. We call that high pressure ridging building in. And when you start to see this pattern, you always get, for the most part, one day of a northwest flow pattern just producing some scattered showers. The flow is weak. We can tell that because the showers have been blowing up over the Coast Range and then kind of dissipating and not hitting the valley and then repopping over the Cascades. Now, we have a scattered shower threat in Portland and Salem, but we'll see far more dry weather than wet. Pretty cool look of a shower there looking out to sea from the Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City this morning. There's some raindrops on the lens, but otherwise you can see partly cloudy skies over our state capital. This is really pretty. That is the Columbia River and the interstate bridge of I-5 from our Vancouver to the Springs at the waterfront camera. Our 7-day forecast numbers, here we go. Today, kind of just a typical nice day for us. A west breeze to about 15. Partly cloudy skies, scattered showers, far more dry time than wet in Portland, Salem, and Vancouver. Tomorrow, all dry, as I mentioned. By Saturday, we could be up to 51 degrees. We have added a chance of cloudiness being thick enough spilling over us to produce some light rain showers on Sunday into Sunday night. Right now, we believe that rain chance is gone on Monday, and then we stay dry all the way into the mid part of next week.
Check this out. Thanks to some Clatsop County firefighters in Oregon, this little pup that you see was rescued from a culvert. The sweet little pup got stuck over the weekend in a tunnel outside of Astoria. It was down a steep ravine with a flowing creek. What a sweet photo, my goodness. The Lewis and Clark Fire Department came out with a ladder and ropes to climb down to the dog. They were able to bring it back up the ravine and get it warmed up and returned to its owner. Oh, nice little tearjerker for you, a happy ending there. Now let's pick things back up and head to Boise because snow will continue to fall in the mountains, but a cool, dry, and stagnant pattern is expected to build across southwestern Idaho. Hector Mendoza is breaking it all down for you.
Lots of ski resorts excited from all the snow out in Brundage. Here's what we saw here through the overnight hours, getting to about 3 inches, but total with all of the storm that we've seen here through the past couple of days, about 2 feet of snow, and Brundage has fully opened its resort. And so a lot of people are excited and going to be able to enjoy this as we head towards the weekend. Temperatures will continue to stay cool. Other spots that saw some of that snow, especially as we came down to the valley, was the the Magic Valley, that is. And this is out at Twin Falls at the Perrine Bridge. You can see some of that snow still sticking to the ground and to some of those grassy areas. And even here in this image, you could see that car with some of the snow on that windshield and still on that hood. But this is a look at the past 12 hours. Here in the Treasure Valley, though, we did see a skiff of some snow, not necessarily anything that stuck around. And so again, very quickly came through around midnight to 1 o'clock this morning. And we've seen a lot of dry conditions since then. And as you move off into the east there and you look at the Magic Valley, they've seen that here through the overnight hours and early on this morning. That's really going to continue to move further east. And again, southwest Idaho is expected to see some drier conditions here through today. And those showers are going to start to taper off. Now, the one thing we're paying attention to is going to be some of the winds that are going to start to increase here. Some spots, a very small area there through the eastern Magic Valley. We are going to see a wind advisory set into place with 55 miles per hour possible in some of those areas in terms of wind gusts. Then as we head towards Friday and into the weekend, cool, dry, and stagnant conditions will stick around. And that looks likely to really hold on in through the middle of next week as this ridge of high pressure is going to continue to build. It'll strengthen here through the weekend. One thing we are paying attention to, though, is going to be a plume of moisture that's going to be targeting here the Pacific Northwest. Now, the biggest thing is going to be that a lot of that moisture really doesn't make its way through southwest Idaho. What we are going to see is an increased amount of clouds. So we're expecting some of those clouds to start to decrease in through Friday, and then they'll increase a little bit there as we'll see a lot more of that sunshine here in through Saturday, and then we'll start to see that pick up as we get towards Sunday, and that'll continue into the beginning of next week. But as we look at our future cast, some lingering showers will continue in portions of the mountains, so we're expected to see just a couple inches more here through the rest of the day. Then by this evening, as you look throughout most of southwest Idaho, clear conditions through the Magic Valley, clear conditions here through the Treasure Valley, and this is what's going to allow some of these temperatures to really start to cool off here through today. And then that's just going to continue to be the conditions we see on Friday. And then look at that Friday, we're going to see again those conditions really start to see clear and lighter winds. And that's also what's going to allow a chance for some fog to start to develop in some of these areas. And then as we look at the mountains here through Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, a little bit more of that sunshine, still at those freezing temperatures, mornings into the teens. And that's going to be just the frigid start we're going to see in the mountains. Frigid here for the Twin Falls area as well as temperatures temperatures will gradually start to warm up as this high pressure system continues. And then we're going to expect to reach the upper 40s and a little bit more sunshine for the middle of next week. Very similar here in the Treasure Valley, that is, as we're looking here at Boise. But temperatures look to stay pretty consistent into those low 40s all the way through Monday. A little bit more sunshine there on Saturday before those clouds increase on Sunday. And then we're going to start to climb up into those mid to upper 40s for the middle of the week. And again, we do expect to see some inversion conditions really start to build up there through Sunday. And that's just going to continue to strengthen and stick around here for the middle of next week.
And coming up after a quick break, we'll check in with Sacramento's Brendan Minsheff and San Diego's Vanessa Paz. Hey there, welcome back to Weather Out West. Let's head to San Diego first, where drier and warmer weather lies ahead, but not before some wind advisories. San Diego's Vanessa Paz has those details.
Happy Thursday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. We start off very brisk this morning. This afternoon will also be pretty chilly. We're seeing mostly scattered 60s across the board from the coast all the way towards the inland valleys later on this afternoon around the 1-2 o'clock hour when that warmth peaks. These highs are actually cooler than where we should be for this time of year. Typically, the coastal area should be in the high 50s as well as some of our inland communities. 59 degrees later on this afternoon, so spots like Ramona Inland will struggle to get out of the 50s later on today. Meanwhile, forecasting a lot of 40s for the mountain areas from Palomar Mountain all the way to Julian. Meanwhile, seeing a high of 64 later on today out in Borrego Springs. All right, shout out to Joel Ortiz for sending in this photo. Incredible shot of Hotel Del. He even got into the water to take this photo facing the hotel, and you could see that yesterday we saw nothing but blue skies with some hints of cloud coverage. We will dry out today. We've been kind of in this period of wet weather, and we're finally looking at a trend of drier conditions with gusty onshore winds today, and then those winds shift out of the east looking ahead to this weekend, also known as Santa Ana winds, and that will be a prolonged event lasting all the way through next week with some warming temperatures, some areas getting close to 80 degrees by the middle of next week. All right, the winds will get quite high over the next 24 hours. National Weather Service has issued a wind advisory for the mountains as well as the desert areas. West winds, sustained winds will be anywhere between 25 to 35 miles per hour with the potential to gust up to 55. So you want to be cautious of parking, walking near large trees because we've again been in this period of very wet weather. The ground vegetation is very wet, which means those large trees, which haven't been pruned in some time, could be susceptible to falling, which we have seen over the past couple of weeks. And look out for flying debris as well. So if you still have some of those Christmas decorations up that you haven't put away or secured, yeah, you may want to tie those down. Our wind gust forecast shows those onshore winds strengthening throughout Thursday, but notice how they shift directions. And we're also seeing strong winds, but this is going to dry things out because they're coming in from the east. Remember, they go over the mountaintops and they warm the surrounding air parcels. They also warm the temperature. So not only are we going to have gusty winds, it's going to be dry and the temperatures are going to start to climb as well. All right, taking a look at our water year. So far, we've had close to 8 inches. Remember, our water year started out in October. On average, we should be seeing only about 3.5 inches. So that puts us well into a surplus over 4 inches. So we're starting off the water year quite well as of last check. Rain chances bone dry starting Friday all the way through the middle of next week as Santa Ana winds take hold. We'll climb a little warmer tomorrow in the high 60s, and then we're in the 50s for the mountain areas, low 60s in the deserts. Here's a quick look at the coastal 7-day forecast. Over the next 7 days, we'll be in the 60s all the way through Friday, and then this weekend is our transition period into warmer weather. The inland areas will also go from the 60s to the 70s starting this weekend. Some of the warmer days will be on Wednesday when we're into the low 80s. The mountain areas, we have a weather impact alert day today due to the high winds, and then things simmer down by the time we get to the end of the week.
And up in Northern California, Sacramento's Brendan Minsheff is tracking foggy and frosty conditions as well as snow in the Sierras.
Hey everybody, meteorologist Brendan Minsheff here in Sacramento. I'm going to start off by talking about the snowpack because we have seen Quite a shift, really, from before Christmas to where we are now. We've had a ton of snow, several feet of snow in the Sierra between the days before Christmas and now, and it has just completely shifted the story of our snowpack. So April 1st is typically peak snowpack for the Sierra, so we like to measure against the percent of April 1st average. Well, prior to Christmas, we were in the single digits, 2%, 4%, and 9% across the northern, central, and southern Sierra, respectively. But now we're at 27% in the northern Sierra, 37% in the central Sierra, and 47% in the southern Sierra. That's, again, percent of April 1st average. Statewide, those numbers went from 4% on December 22nd to 37% as of January 7th. So December was very lackluster. We saw almost nothing in terms of rain and snow until we got to the week of Christmas, and that really turned our winter around. So in terms of rainfall for Sacramento, total so far in the month of January, 2.3 inches. We average just 0.8 inches to date. So that means we're an inch and a half above where we normally are for the month of January, and we're only a few days in. For the water year, which started on October 1st, 9.5 inches in Sacramento. We average about 6 3/4 to date, which means we are about 2.8 inches above normal on the water year. So really, really good. After this quick passing system that we had Thursday morning across Northern California, it's going to be dry for a little bit, though. Temperatures a little chilly, especially in the high country. 29 in South Lake Tahoe, 30 in Truckee, 50 in Auburn, 54 in Ione in the southern Sierra, 35 Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park, 44 in Yosemite, 46 in Mariposa. Out along the central coast, 59 in Morro Bay, 56 in Big Sur, 56 Monterey, 57 Salinas, 57 in Santa Cruz across the San Francisco Bay Area. Temperatures likewise in those middle 50s. 56 in San Francisco, 55 in Oakland, 55 in Berkeley, 56 in Fairfield, 54 in Vacaville, 55 in Rio Vista. Across the North State, temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Mount Shasta only in the 30s today. Same story up in Wairika, 50 in Crescent City, Redwood National Park, 51 in Eureka, 53 in Fort Bragg. Out along the coast, back into the valley now. Temperatures in those low 50s for most places. 50 in Modesto, 51 Stockton, 56 in Galt, 55 in Elk Grove, 52 in Sacramento, 52 in El Dorado Hills, and 54 in Colusa. Let's talk about the Pacific North American pattern, though, because it's shifting back into the positives. When it's positive, that means we're typically warmer and drier. So we're looking at a blocking high pressure and dry weather through about the middle of the month before the pattern may start to shift towards the end of the month when we could see our next storm chance, January 23rd-ish. Here's a textbook example of what the Pacific North American pattern looks like. When it's positive high pressure sitting over the west coast, over California, drier and warmer, that storm door is closed. And indeed, that is what the weather pattern looks like as we head into this weekend and into next week. That high pressure continues to sit overhead, keeping the storm door closed and us in a drier pattern. One of the things we'll be watching for is the potential for some fog as we head into the weekend. You see the temperature inversion developing once again in the valley with quite a bit of moisture at the surface. So that opportunity for fog to form doesn't mean it will, but it definitely means that all the conditions will be in place. There's also an extreme cold watch for Friday morning out in parts of the Bay Area. We could see temperatures in the upper 20s. Here in the valley, not that cold. We'll be in those mid 30s. So cold mornings and mild afternoons going forward.
San Francisco's Bay Area is still recovering from a strong storm event that hit the region over multiple days. Luz Pena spoke to residents and a climate change expert on what these events could look like in the future.
After a storm coupled with record king tides swept the Bay Area, residents are now processing the reality that this can happen again.
As far as we know, it's the biggest tide and storm at the same time that we've had in about 30 years here.
Over the weekend, this neighborhood in Larkspur flooded. Water entered garages as residents came out in kayaks and paddleboards.
We had to, kind of swim in and out.
With a break in the rain, garages were open, airing out the damage.
This has been happening for generations as well, so I think it's just some of the ongoing things we deal with Mother Nature.
This video from the UC Santa Cruz Center for Coastal Climate Resilience shows a visualization of San Mateo County, an area that faces significant sea level rise impacts. This is what they're projecting during a 100-year storm. Professor Mike Beck, director of this center, is watching what's happening closely.
King tides give us a good picture into what future sea levels can look like and the problems that that creates. In the current events, you can see that those problems, particularly this time of year, are going to be quite commonly coupled with rainwater and strong winds. So the strong winds are going to be pushing those tidal waters even higher up on us.
With rising sea levels due to climate change, Professor Beck said king tides are to be expected.
Usually talking 2, 3, sometimes depending upon what we're looking at, the average 4 feet of water additional with the high tide.
In San Francisco, king tides led to flooding on Embarcadero. The Port of San Francisco said they're prepared.
In terms of the long-term plan, the Port of San Francisco, along with many other city agencies, is working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on a resilience plan along the waterfront. And what that is going to do is help the city's waterfront adapt to sea level rise.
Tide pooling is a popular pastime in San Diego and much of the West Coast, but recent social media videos from the last round of king tides show crowds overwhelming these fragile areas and raising concerns about how marine life is being treated. San Diego's Brian White looks at who's watching over these tide pools and how the rules are being upheld.
King tides draw big crowds to tide pools here in La Jolla and other places, but not everyone follows the rules, so we're looking at who's responsible for protecting the marine life around here. During the last king tide, social media videos showed crowds packing into tide pools across San Diego County with people stepping on marine life and picking up sea creatures inside protected areas.
The tide pools are certainly a sensitive habitat, and there's a lot of small sea life in the tide pools that can be easily trampled.
Many of these tide pools fall within marine protected areas, places where it's illegal to injure, damage, take, or even temporarily handle sea life.
If people are collecting wildlife in those tide pools, even if they're just going to hold them for a little bit, it is a violation of that section, and they could be issued a citation for that.
Lieutenant Austin Smith with California Department of Fish and Wildlife is one of the officers patrolling San Diego's coastline. But there are only 8 wardens covering nearly 70 miles of coast. During the most recent king tide, they brought in extra help.
Our officers made over 300 contacts, issued over 25 warnings, and I think issued about 13 citations.
Fines can run around $500, and officers say education is just as important as enforcement.
All the creatures in and out of the water are like wildlife, and they're wild animals, and I think we just need to respect them, and we can admire them from afar.
The same message applies at La Jolla's children's pool. The beach is closed right now during harbor seal pupping season to protect mothers and newborns.
The best thing we can do is actually just leave them be, give them their space.
Later this year, during sea lion pupping season at Point La Jolla, a time we've repeatedly seen people get too close for selfies, the city tells me park rangers will staff the area daily to keep the public at a safe distance.
It's us that are kind of imposing on their territory and not the contrary.
Officials say when it comes to tide pools and marine mammals, the rule is simple: look, don't touch. If you see someone harassing wildlife or damaging tide pools, you can report it to Fish and Wildlife on the CalTIP hotline at 888-334-2258. I'm Brian White, CBS 8.
Still to come, you can call it a Christmas Eve miracle, a baby delivery one family will never, ever forget. A new mother tells King 5 about giving birth on a boat headed to the hospital. A Christmas Eve miracle, all thanks to quick action by the Anderson Fire and Rescue Crew. Volunteers rushed to help a mother in labor and ended up delivering her baby right on the fireboat. Seattle's Brady Wakayama spoke with the new mom and one of the first responders.
A quiet night just before Christmas turned into
panic. It was absolutely panic.
On December 23rd, Catherine Sims called 911 after she suddenly went into labor at her home on Anderson Island.
EMS told me that absolutely the baby's coming. I have no choice in the matter.
Volunteer EMTs and firefighters were dispatched right away.
And they just scooped me up, put me down that. It was a whole process to get me down to the boat on the gurney in the first place. So at that point, I'm realizing this is this is getting real really, really fast.
With the last ferry done for the night, the fastest way to reach the mainland hospital was by fireboat.
But once you hit the wakes and with the contractions, it was ouch. Absolutely painful as heck.
It took about 10 minutes to get to the dock. Once they hit land, Sims' water broke.
Okay, this is DEFCON. There is no way I'm making it to any hospital at this point. And then those next 2 pushes, it was like, I did this. I am so proud of myself.
At 12:01 a.m., baby Halle was born, delivered on the boat by volunteer EMTs that were by her mother's side throughout the night.
You hear that first cry, that first squawk, and a good, nice, big, deep breath, and it's just kind of like everybody kind of took a big, deep breath in.
It was the first delivery for Captain Megan Arzola, and only the second in Anderson Island Fire and Rescue's history to happen aboard a vessel.
These are honestly the kind of calls that we like to have, that we like to remember.
A memorable gift this mother will celebrate every Christmas Eve.
This is definitely one of those things I will never forget. And I want her to see who rallied in her corner and helped her get to where she's at. So absolutely, I want her to remember this, and we all want to remember this one.
In Pierce County, Brady Wakayama, King 5 News.
I'm sure they will always remember that moment. That's going to do it for us here on Weather Out West on this Thursday. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and as always, we want to thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.